Some of the most meaningful travel experiences aren't planned around destinations, they're built around invitations. My name is Kiara, and I am the host of Put the Guidebook Down. And today's episode is about what it means to be invited into a cultural moment that isn't yours, and how showing up with curiosity, respect, and humility can completely reshape how you travel. Today, I am joined by my longtime best friend, Nicole. How's it going?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining. And she has had a more interesting cultural experience than maybe I haven't experienced that. She was actually invited to an Indian wedding in India. Isn't that right?
Yes, it was so fun. It was in Goa, which was absolutely amazing, and got to explore and also just learn a lot, which was super cool.
Yeah, and I'm sure people have kind of heard different things about what Indian weddings are like, what it means to be a foreigner attending one of these celebrations. So, we're going to get into that and more just because I'm genuinely curious and I've always wanted to attend one. And as well, I know a lot of people have been invited to such cultural events and are maybe unsure about how to go about it. So, for this episode, we're going to focus on not judging or any explanation of the culture. It's going to be solely focused on Nicole's experience navigating it as a guest and how we interpreted it from like an outsider's point of view. So let's start with how this invitation even came about. So, Nicole, how did you first learn that you'd be attending this wedding?
Yeah, so one of my best friend, basically brother, him and his wife, she's from India, and when I found out they were getting married, she was like, "Well, I want to do an Indian wedding." And she kind of was like, "Would you be able to get time off to come? Would you want to come and celebrate with us?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So that was super fun to get that invite from her directly too. And then obviously the invitations came out. She sent us all. Oh, she built a website
A
that went
website.
through, yeah, which it was like, I mean, it was like a generic wedding website, but it went through all of like the different parts of the ceremony that they would do, what they wanted you to wear for each part of the ceremony, tips and tricks on how to get to Goa. And then as people responded and RSVP'd yes, they would send you like this is how you should this is how you should go about getting the necessary travel stuff for
Yeah.
India.
Oh, that's so nice for them
Yeah.
to do that, kind of help you prepare a little bit.
Yeah, so it was super helpful because especially like I wouldn't necessarily have known a lot of the stuff that they sent out, and it kind of also gave me an idea of what to expect.
Mm,
Um
okay.
because I didn't really know anything about Indian weddings prior to this. She
Mm,
hadn't really talked to me too much about like the culture that she grew up in or anything.
yeah.
So having all of that information to just kind of look through before I experienced it was super cool.
Yeah. And did this kind of help with the emotions, maybe excitement, the nervousness, the uncertainty, or what else were you feeling at the initial beginning of acknowledging that you're going to be attending this event?
I was so excited. I wanted to make sure that I everything went smoothly, both from their
Okay.
end and from my end. And as a result, I started doing things just very ahead of time. And as a result, I ended up almost being a point of contact for all the US people who were
Oh my
going.
gosh. No way.
Yes, that was something. So I was like, okay, not only do I need to know this for me, I really need to know this. So
Yeah. Yeah. Because now they were like all trusting you. They're like, oh, she knows what's going on. So we got to ask her all of our millions of questions.
yeah, there was definitely one point where they sent me like her and her husband's well now husband sent me a video of exactly a form how to fill out one type of form,
Wow.
and she just said, can you make sure everyone does this?
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. You're like
But
an
yeah,
expert now.
yeah, so I was nervous about that part and making sure like people got there, and
Mhm.
but I was just so excited to go. I was like, this is going to be so fun. And for me it was like my parents weren't going, and I was just going with a bunch of people that I knew because know all of their friends. So I was like, it's going to be me plus just a bunch of friends. It's a friend trip basically to experience this, which is super special and cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like it's a little bit more of a blend between this cultural experience, this kind of destination wedding, but then also a solo travel trip for you in a way, because you're going literally on the other side of the world by yourself.
Yeah, yeah, which it made me learn a lot because I'd traveled to other countries before, but it was always with other people.
Yeah,
And so this was the first time where I was like, okay, I need to make sure I have everything lined up and ready to go. It really changed my organization style because I was like, there can't be any question of where
right.
everything is. I have to know exactly where it is. And it helped me a lot because I don't know if I told you this when I was first telling you about the trip, but um, my airplane was supposed to land in New Delhi.
Oh, wait, no, you did tell me this. Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
landed in Mumbai.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was like I had to like get on a different flight in order to get to Goa because the way they were doing it, it would have routed me back to New Delhi, but I would have been too late for my second flight.
Yeah,
So
it's like there wasn't already enough going on, right? The flights had to be added as an extra layer of stress.
yeah, but it's like I was just thinking about it. If I didn't do the level of meticulous preparation that I did,
Yeah.
it would have been bad.
Yeah, yeah. And I really like the point of knowing that you were doing all of this additional research and prep work because you were really there to be attending as a guest and not the center of the attention since it's their wedding. So that
Yeah,
really helped them not have to worry about you or all the other Americans, I guess, who were attending since you were the point of contact, which is amazing.
yeah. No, my goal with them was to just take some of the load off of them because I'm like, they're hosting this giant wedding. They essentially rented out one of the resorts in Goa and they were like, we're going to put on all this stuff, but all of you need to make sure you get here.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like that's on you. We got you once you get here, but the preparation and getting there is all on your side.
yes, yes.
Wow.
It was so fun. Like, I remember even just the first taxi drive I took from the airport in Goa to the resort was just like a culture shock slash very like I'd learned some things beforehand, but it's one thing reading about things and it's a different thing to experience them. Like the traffic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, girl, well, as you know, because I was asking you for tips and tricks before I went to India, and I actually just did an episode about this in terms of having certain expectations when you were landing, and then you get there and you're just realizing that there's, from an outsider point of view, some chaos going on, but there's actually order to all of the chaos, like the traffic going on, and you just have
Yeah.
to let it go.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's definitely I kind of accepted that as soon as I got there, I was like, I'm gonna be along for the ride.
Yeah,
Like
the
I
best
was
way
like,
to
my
do it.
purpose is obviously I'm going to have fun and to celebrate, but like it's also to learn. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's the way to do it, honestly. But once you said yes to this whole experience and that you were definitely going to go to India for their wedding, let's talk a little bit more about the preparation and the work you did to prepare yourself before departure. So, can you explain a little bit more about how you learned about the etiquette, clothing, and customs? I know you mentioned that they prepared a website and gave you some information, but did you do any other research on your own before?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of basic research on each like type of ceremony that they were going to do and kind of learned what to expect in each one. That
Hmm.
was like outside of their website. Their website was very, very good. She did
Good.
a good job with it. And yeah, and then I also looked on like the US government has some websites where you can look
Oh,
for travel facts and stuff like that. And it's just kind of
okay.
basic like safety stuff, but
Yeah.
um yeah, and then I signed up for the thing that they offer for US citizens where it's like you can tell them the route you're taking and
Oh, step.
to like the nearby US bases. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a step program.
Yeah. So I signed up for all of that
Mm,
and just kind of I talked with the couple and just kind of made just like I guess made a plan with
that's
them. And
good.
yeah.
That's good. And you were able to ask them any like questions about etiquette or cultural norms there to help you prepare?
Yes. I talked to them a lot about like what would be expected of the guests in the different ceremonies. So
Hmm.
like I found out about in essentially like they have a multi-step wedding ceremony, and there's one part where the bride and groom are walking around in a circle and the guests are kind of showering them with petals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I found out about that part and I'm like, oh, okay, I can be prepared for that. Whereas if I hadn't known about that going in, no one really brought it up until it happened.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
So that definitely helped a little bit. And I think the important point there that you're saying is that you were asking for advice and information about this stuff from locals or the couple whose celebration it was. And you're not just relying solely on Google, because we knew
Yeah.
that some of the information there had some inaccuracies, biases, and maybe not the best reference for resources.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was super lucky because also, like, the bride, her dad was super phenomenal with this process as well. So not only could I ask the couple, I could ask her family,
Oh, that's amazing.
which was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It
so
was really,
helpful.
yeah, it was honestly amazing because I felt like it really prepared me for exactly what I would be walking into. Whereas, like, I can get an idea of each of the types of ceremonies and stuff from their website or
Mhm.
just from like quick online searches, but like having the ability to talk to people
Yeah,
was outstanding.
yeah,
It,
that's huge because preparation isn't about getting it right. It's about minimizing the harm or misunderstandings and just helping you feel more comfortable before you go attend a cultural event such as this.
yeah, and especially for me, like I was also buying outfits for this because
Mhm.
there was
Right.
yeah, like I had to buy a lehenga and stuff like that. So it's like I had to know what colors I could and couldn't wear
Yeah.
and what themes I should work with and that sort of thing. So it was very nice to have a space to ask those sorts of questions that wasn't like they weren't angry that I was asking them. They were just like, "Oh, you're asking these. That's really smart."
Oh, they were very open with that and actually appreciated that.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's why it's so important. This is kind of falling into cultural travel. It's that immersiveness with it, and then the genuine curiosity that you want to showcase to the locals or the people that you're attending with so that they feel like you actually have a genuine interest in it and want to learn and not just use the culture as a backdrop or maybe just own some part of this, which is not yours to own in a
Yeah.
way.
No, fully, yeah. And it was even helpful for like some small things that I wouldn't necessarily have known. Like
Okay. Yeah,
on
like what?
like day I want to go I was there for 5 days total. The wedding was only 3, so it was like a shortened version of a full wedding.
Okay.
But on day 2, we went into Old Goa.
Oh,
Saw
okay.
like a bunch of the old buildings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Someone had told me beforehand, I think it was the bride's mother, essentially.
Mhm.
Like they had told me to pack some long sleeve stuff, like long sleeve and pants. But then
Right.
before we went, she kind of pulled all of us aside and was like, just so you know, before you go, she goes, you're going to be like, yes, you're going to be out in the heat, but you should definitely wear like,
More conservative clothing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, okay, thank you. So it was just that sort of thing. It was really helpful to kind of know what was going on.
Yeah, that seems like such a helpful moment and genuine, just like people looking out for you, but then also how receptive you were to the words of advice that she was offering for you guys.
Yeah.
Now, going a little bit into moments, because that was a moment that you shared clearly because you remember it and recalled it rather quickly. So, what other moments stood out to you the most throughout your whole experience in attending the wedding?
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know
So
it's a lot.
there are a lot. There's so many. We did, okay. So on, like, the, before essentially they call it I'm going to butcher the
Oh yeah, I
pronunciation.
was gonna say let's hear the
So,
Hindi or Sanskrit.
um, the, they had us all do essentially a bunch of henna and they
Okay.
had a bunch of drawings on like fabric and they had us
Oh,
putting flowers in each area and it
oh,
was
cool.
super cool, which I feel like that wasn't necessarily it wasn't necessarily a huge moment in the wedding, but it's a moment I remember distinctly
Yeah.
because it was just like you had henna on your hands, but then you're also just like dropping the flowers, making it pretty, and it was one of those things where each one had a little blurb next to it about the significance of what we were doing as like what each picture was as well, which was super cool because they tied it all back into like essentially history, and it was so cool.
That.
Yeah.
So informative, and you guys were like learning. It just seems like it's a really intimate moment in a way that you were learning and engaging more with the culture side of where you were.
Yeah. It was super special. And like they also did a thing where they had her entire family tree
Oh, cool.
and it was super cool to see and be like, oh wow. They've been
Whoa.
here they've been like obviously I feel like living in the United States, I'm like, oh, I can remember back a couple generations.
Right.
Like a lot of generations.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of like a movie moment. I when they shout the like tree with all of the family generations, I feel like we definitely don't see that much anymore, at least in the States.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um that was super cool. And then they there's a thing where you do a bunch of different dances. So like the bride and groom had one dance, and then
Okay.
the family of the bride had a dance, the family of the groom had a dance, and they broke it up into like a bunch of different groups of people having different dances.
Yeah.
And they were all traditional, like I would say traditional Indian style dances type of
Hmm.
dance. I don't know. I'm not knowledgeable enough to know a specific type of dance, but
What
um,
the name is, yeah.
it was just so cool to see because even like my friend who's from the US went out of his way to learn a bunch of traditional dances.
Wow. I
And
love
it was just,
that.
yeah, it was so fun to watch and kind of just understand the significance of it.
Yeah.
And it was also super cool because they took the bride's grandmother and they put her on a giant couch right directly in front of the dance floor.
Wow.
And she watched the entire thing.
That's so cool. I mean, it just sounds like there was so much going on, just not from the itinerary of like what you guys were doing throughout the celebration and the multiple day events, but in terms of kind of sensory overload with color, dances, showering with flowers. So,
Yeah.
what felt kind of unfamiliar, like unsure to you, and how did you interpret that or respond to those situations? Because there's just so much going on.
Yeah, I think I went into this entire trip with the expectation that I wasn't necessarily going to know what I was doing the entire time. And
Sure.
I was like, when I'm panicking, when I don't know what's going on, I'll just take all of my cues from the people there that do. So I was like I got there and some of the first people I met were some of the bride's family. And
Wow.
so I was just like, I will watch what they're doing and I will learn from them. And I will make sure that if I'm going into a situation where I don't know what to do, they're always in front of me. So,
So smart. Honestly, girl, like this is exactly what I've been talking about in a couple of my previous episodes is just the power of observation, especially when it comes to cultural moments, like as you said, like just taking the cues from people around you and then either kind of sandwiching yourself in between people who kind of know what's going on and then just learning as you go and taking it in.
yeah. And I also think that it was very helpful to have a group of people that we were joining that were so accepting. And I don't know if like the bride essentially told them to do this, but they just made sure that they were the first ones there. Like, and they made sure that they were the first ones to react to everything. So it was just like they kind of understood that that the majority of the US group might not know what was going on fully. And they did their best to help us, which was really nice.
That's it's honestly, I experienced this while in India. It's really just like the hospitality that is with people from the regions in India and just how they really want to share their culture and just make you feel warm and welcomed. And if you don't know what the heck is going on.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And often in these moments where we're observing and just kind of taking it in, it's those types of moments around the event that are teaching us the most, which is what I love. And it really helps us with the cultural immersion, which is what I'm obviously passionate about between this podcast and culture and travel. So then this is leading me into our next question in terms of how did this experience change how you see travel and maybe cultural travel?
Oh, yeah. So I think it definitely made me a lot more aware of myself when I travel, and like I'll usually look more towards people who are in the region. Like even if I'm traveling somewhere within the states, like I'll do the same thing. I'll look and I'll see, okay, what's the status quo here?
Okay.
What and kind of look and almost read the room when I step into it, except like read the room on a location instead of a
Yeah,
single um
sure.
and just kind of like it's one thing I feel like to be like, oh yeah, it made me more aware of different cultures, but this definitely showed me like, okay, no matter how much I think I know,
Yeah.
if I'm not like regularly in that culture, if I don't put in the effort to learn that culture,
Hmm.
I don't know the culture. And it really showed me the importance of doing your research beforehand, but also being fully aware and willing to change mid trip. Like if you recognize that you were doing something wrong, change. Like,
Wow. Guys, I did not tell her to say this. She's like epitome of what we're talking about here at Culture and Travel. This is genuine. And girl, I am like smiling over here because you're exactly saying what I've been explaining on the podcast and in conversations. Like, this is what cultural travel is all about.
yeah, I mean, it's the idea of you have the privilege to witness their culture and to play a small role in it. And you have to respect that they're letting you be in that space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Not using you're not the center of attention. This is not your event. This is not your culture. Just this may be a time where you should probably step back and just observe what's going on and try to digest in a proactive way, an educational way, what's going around you. And
yeah,
then, secondly, having gratitude for just being invited to be a part of this cultural moment, this celebration of two people coming together. I mean, this is just an incredible opportunity. And as you said, you learn so much from it, not just from being in India, going to this event, but then also more about you as a person and how you want to apply what you've learned to your future travels.
exactly. So well said. Oh my goodness.
It's- there's just so much to unpack with this. And again, we started with this episode in terms of looking at it from what you experienced as an outsider and coming into the wedding and just navigating a little bit of this part of Indian culture. So I want to thank you so much for sharing this. I mean, I reached out to you when I was getting ready to leave saying like, what did you learn and what should I do to prepare myself for India? And hopefully one day I'll be invited to an Indian wedding and can actually ask you then for more advice about how to navigate that. But is there anything else that you would like to leave with our listeners today before we close out this episode?
Um, well, I mean, well, thank you for having me on. It was fun. And obviously, I'd probably just reiterate the be respectful and do the research, you know? Like, that's really what it's all about is kind of walking in with some knowledge, but also recognizing that I guess that online resources aren't always the only thing. Like, you can learn so much from locals.
Yeah, period. And that's really when you start to actually, in my opinion, experience real travel.
Yeah.
Longer in this isolated tourism bubble that's being created just for you and your entertainment. You're actually stepping into the day to day and learning about the place you're in and the people you are with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, this episode isn't just about attending an Indian wedding. It's about what happens when you remember you're a guest in someone else's world, which I think Nicole explained perfectly. When we travel this way, the goal isn't to understand everything, it's to respect what we don't. So I want to thank Nicole for coming on to Put the Guidebook Down to explain her experience and share her story about going to India and her first Indian wedding. So thank you so much, Nicole. And I want to share with our listeners that if this episode resonated with you, to continue the conversation with us at Culture of Travel and Put the Guidebook Down, where cultural travel starts with respect. We want to hear about your experiences and help you learn how to be an observer, really to engage with your surroundings so that you're becoming a more enriched and open-minded person and traveler in this world. So thank you so much for everyone who listened, and catch you on the next episode. Bye.